Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Slight Shift Show. This is the podcast that we're going to hopefully help you and inspire you to make these little adjustments in life by either adding more or taking something out so you could live the life of your dreams and hopes and fulfill all your aspirations. But today, it is a dream come true for me. I have two of my favorite people in the world on this podcast in the same virtual room. Of course, you know, I wouldn't say co-host, but the host, and I'm the co-host. I am the Robin. She's Batman. But Coach Angela Vahue is here. And we always have these wonderful, meaningful, fun conversations about making these slight shifts. But also our guest today is Grandmaster Keith Winkle, who again is amongst my favorite people on earth. And I have the two of the greatest people on the podcast at one time. So welcome, Grandmaster Winkle. It is so great to see you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor.
No,
and anybody that knows you, sir, knows your phone is on Do Not Disturb a lot.
It is always on Do Not Disturb.
So getting 30 minutes face-to-face with you is amazing.
Yeah, I apologize for that. So, but it is, yes.
And I'm honored to be sandwiched between two grandmasters, and I don't even own a black belt. So,
yeah, well, what do you own though?
I was saying before we got on, I have the look. You know, I don't need a black belt. I just have to give the look. You know, and everything just falls in line, so it works great.
That is great. So you have all security purposes covered, right? So you're. Yep. Where the bodyguards on the side and the center is the look. There is nobody messing with this.
Impenetrable. This is an impenetrable force right now.
That's right. But anyway, I am so grateful to have you again. When I was thinking about our conversation today, I just smiled and got so happy because you two never met before. And, you know, you both are like beams of light. In the world and society, and the values are just so much aligned in many ways. But to bring two people who don't know each other together and sharing something in common, I just think is wonderful. And that thing in common that we talk about, and Angela, you've been a student of it for a number of years. And Keith, of course, has been, you know, immersed in this information for a long time as well, as Il Il Shin. And Keith, what I did not share is that Angela got to meet Grandmaster Kim, right?
Oh, amazing.
I did, yes.
I said to Matt, Angela's husband, I said, so Angela got to meet to Grandmaster Kim, and he goes, yeah, I used to think our wedding day was the best day, but now it was that moment. But it was wonderful, and so I was able to sit down and have tea and, you know, took some pictures. So the founder of the concept.
He's one of those people that you can't. It's like hard to describe, and then when you're in his presence, you feel that unique, very special thing that he has.
Yeah.
And, just such a non-judgmental, humble awesomeness.
Yeah.
He just has a very warm, like, vortex around him. And I had heard about him for quite literally a decade.
Yes.
I've heard Grandmaster Kim says this, Grandmaster Kim says that, Grandmaster Kim. I'm like, who is this Grandmaster Kim, you know? Mm-hmm. And, you know, so I've seen like pictures of his brother and stuff like that. But still, when you meet him in person, I was definitely like nervous because I've heard about him for so long. And I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to say the wrong thing? Am I going to do the right? But he immediately, any nervousness or anxiety or whatever that I had is just gone. Like he just has this aura. I wonder what his aura is actually.
I could imagine.
I wonder what his color is. Yeah, that would be pretty cool to find out. But
next time.
Yeah. We need to take a trip to Sedona.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, he made me feel so comfortable, and he was like, "Come have tea with us." I was like, "Oh, Okay.
Yeah. And it was one, and actually you got a little emotional, right?
I did. It was, again, it was just this person who has shaped my life
Yeah.
through Chris and Empowered Mastery and Il Shin philosophy.
Yes.
And I had the honor and privilege to be able to tell him that.
Yeah.
To
Which
his
is very
face,
special.
how he has impacted my life, and he didn't even know it,
I know.
And I just think that that's so special.
Yeah, it was a very special moment, and he even said, he goes, she's got very good energy. She needs to train more. She needs to train with you. Oh,
I
yes,
will
sir.
tell you, I'll be like upstairs, brushing my teeth, and I 100% will go up on my toes to see if I can stay up on my toes the entire time I'm brushing my teeth, because that was one of the homework
That's
that
right.
he gave. And I kind of took it as my own homework too.
Yeah.
I can't remember. He was like, how long to see how up you can stay up on your toes.
Yep. How long you can wall sit.
Yep.
Right. And then there was another one too. I did it too. I have notes on it. I haven't done it since, so let's not get that public, please.
I remember the time, but I won't share it.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, so and Grandmaster Kim was actually, before he went back to Korea, was training Keith privately.
Okay.
So every week they would train and do some special training and then talk philosophy and so on, which is wonderful. But he just wants to give and care. And what I'm excited about our conversation today is the idea of, like you said, is you haven't even known him, but yet he made a profound impact on your life through Il Shin. And, Keith and I have had the honor to know him for decades. But could you, I guess brings it back to Il Shin, what is I'm out of the screen. What is Il Shin to you? And actually, it's something, Keith, you had asked to broach this question before we even started, is wouldn't it be great for us to explain, what is Il Shin? So anybody, because now we have, again, Taekwondo Grandmaster, successful entrepreneur, business owner. I've been an advocate for Il Shin for many years. And Angela, here you are, a professional and, master and your grandmaster in your own domain, but a different domain. And what is Il Shin to you? So maybe, I don't know, Keith, anything to add?
No, I will say, I met Angela through you, and as you know, I'm a pretty intuitive person, and watching the podcast. But in my experience, that people who have had a lot of success in life, sometimes it's a little more challenging to embrace Il Shin. Because we don't want to be told what to do sometimes, because we achieve so much. So I think it's very impressive, just a few minutes we talked before the podcast, and just your level of understanding. And I feel like that's so important. We're working on our project to get this out to more people, because it's needed. And 47% of adults now report that they're lonely, and it's just really, really needed. And so what a great bridge from what we're trying to teach to somebody that's obviously been there, done that, and has embraced it. So I think, Angela, your answer to what is Il Shin is super vital too.
Oh boy.
No pressure.
I do actually have an answer.
Good. No pressure.
So as you were talking, I was like, oh boy, I was not prepared for this question, but it hit me. So in life, we oh, you go on this diet or this fad. And I always say, like, no, we don't diet. This is a lifestyle change. This because diets, you then hit your goal and then you end, and then what? You know, there's always like an end to it. And then you just go back to your old ways. So Il Il Shin, to me, it's a lifestyle. We don't do diets. You don't oh, I'm never going to eat a donut ever again, you know, and then you see that donut and then all of a sudden you eat 12 of them and you binge on them, you know, like if donuts are something that you like to eat, you integrate them within moderation, respectfully throughout your life. And it's part of your lifestyle. So Il Il Shin, to me, it's a lifestyle choice. It's a choice to be mindful, be aware of yourself and others around you and the environment in which we live in. Be aware and mindful of our emotions. And you stay consistent with it. Again, it's not a diet. You're not doing the diet today and then, oh, boom. Oh, because I meditated yesterday, I'm not going to do it today, you know? So it's a lifestyle.
Yeah. That's a great answer. What would you say is the one element? I guess, and I agree, and I think where Il Il Shin, and I'll come back to the question, really becomes profound is your viewpoint and your perspective and the lenses that you now look through, right? Because when you embrace that philosophy and even that lifestyle, it drives decisions and filters out things that you don't want to have in your world because you embrace that lifestyle. So, I think that now I was just in Florida with Keith the beginning of this week when we're recording this on April 10th, 5 days before tax day. Friday, right? But we, and this was an introduction to two other, like, you know, just super women. And we were sharing Tado and Il Il Shin to them as well. You know, and again, like Angela, like you, and then these two women would become sisters. Like their values and approach to life and their, you know, I got to meet them. I stayed at their place. It was wonderful. But Keith, like on top of what Angela said, how would you say that Diane and Tanya just viewed Il Il Shin philosophy?
Well, that's a great question. And then, you know, they were pre-framed because they're some of my best friends and business partners. But I will say this, yesterday, she had a meeting. I mean, I'm influential, but Chris, you explain things so much better.
I don't know about that, sir, but thank you.
I explain things motivational, but Chris really did a great job at why we do the Tado, why we do the meditation. And so then right away, both of them were in the meditation class. And then yesterday, Diane had a big meeting with one of her main people at work, and she did it over tea.
Wow.
And you know, they have over 100 employees. They have a huge company, and she saw that it was important enough that she took action, which was so impressive to me.
Wow.
And
that warms my heart. I am so happy.
Yes. And you know, I spent, as you know, from knowing me back in the 90s, I always embraced personal development and books. And I probably spent $60,000, $70,000 on Tony Robbins, graduated Master University, and just on and on and on, many, 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 many thousands of dollars, and all beneficial, all great, got some great things. But the one thing I always kind of bothered me was I'd go to these things and I always had a hard time applying it, applying the concepts. And so I started feeling like, is this motivational? Or, I would apply some things that resonated, but I was with Grandmaster Kim on a Thursday training because I'm his favorite student. And
you are, sir.
Go there on Thursday.
I thought I was, but I've been demoted.
Like a few things he said, and we were talking about this earlier, that I had it seems sudden, but it's one of these businesses that their overnight success took 20 years of preparation. Do you know what I mean? And
all businesses.
In life, there's so many levels. If you look at your studio now, like when you and I first met and we're in that cabin with no electricity, and we couldn't have even imagined like where you are now. It just, even when you have big dreams, it's so difficult to imagine the level, and now you're looking at new levels.
Yeah.
So what he helped me to realize was there are so many levels, and you literally can't comprehend the levels. But what you can do is eat the donut, and tonight when you go to bed and you do your meditation, you say, oh, I ate 12 donuts today. And the next morning, that's over.
Fresh start.
And it's a fresh start.
Yeah.
And that's in my book, I wrote that when I get 500 students in my school, I'm going to be happy. And I did that, and I wasn't happy. When I get my red sports car, I'll be happy. When I get my dream girl, okay? Did so many things, but something always, I wasn't really happy.
Yeah.
And so I've been probably the last 3 months as happy as I've ever been, as content, but as motivated and as much desire, because of the philosophy of you're able to be comfortable with sucking. Do you know what I mean? And you get up in the morning, if this is my last day, how would I like it to go? And I do my very best and make a bunch of mistakes and evaluate it that night and get up the next day and do the same thing.
Wow.
And so somebody asked me the other day, a close friend, how can I this is a very successful person, how can I put more spice into my marriage? I said, this is what I do because I practice Il Il Shin. I wake up every day and it's my first date. And your first date, you mess up, do you know what I mean? But you're excited. And every day is your first date. You don't need to Google something to put spice in your marriage. You need to be like you were on the first date. And
that's so simple. So profound.
And that's why Il Il Shin is so powerful, because it's so simple and so profound.
Well, I feel like a lot of people, they'll go to the seminar or they'll read the book. They're like, well, I read the book.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be this now or whatever, Well, but to your point, it's like, how do I apply it? And that's why this is Il Il Shin philosophy.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Il Il Shin philosophy.
There's so much hitting us now. If you don't get up at 5 a.m., you're a horrible person. If you don't do this, you don't this, you're not a man. You don't do this and this and this. And what Il Il Shin is basically just competing with yourself.
And that's it.
And being comfortable to put in martial arts. We would never ask, people are coming to us as coaches because they don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We would never ask a beginner, a white belt in our class, you suck if you don't do what the black belts do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
right.
And we need to slowly fall forward. And to me, that has just given me just peace in my heart. Like, it's a little hard to explain, but it's just knowing that there's levels that I'm going to achieve that I don't have any clue of, but I don't need to worry about it. I need to get up and Il Il Shin, which means renew every day, be better every day.
Every day.
What's happened with my businesses is Il Il Shin has become a verb. It's not even a noun anymore. It's like, hey, sir, I Il Il Shin that person and it worked out amazing. Oh no, I Il Il Shin, the heck out of that person. But that was really, really powerful. Thank you. Angela, I have a question for you. I feel like I'm interviewer. And but you have shared Il Il Shin to people under you at the firm.
Yep.
What was and I had done this seminar as well, and it was very well received. But then you also, I mean, they were having Tato Tuesdays for a while, right? Having tea. Yep. What did you see from their perspective of the people that you were sharing Il Il Shin philosophy with? Now, this is like, we're talking from Grandmaster Kim. This is like fourth generation, right? He shared it to me. I shared it to you. You shared it to people under you. Like, how was it received, and what did you see that their takeaway or benefits were?
What's interesting is neither of you knew what my final shift was. I didn't tell either of you because I always do a final shift at the end of the show.
That's right.
And I've got it written down here.
All right.
But what's interesting is I feel like, I don't know if permission slip is the right word or if it puts, I'm just going to use permission slip because that's all I can think of. But I feel like Il Il Shin and teaching the philosophies of it give people to the permission slip of what they have inside and what they're feeling inside, but they're afraid to outwardly express or show, or because so my final shift was a societal shift. I feel like as a society, it is, you're weak if you cry. You're weak if you show emotion, or if you're mindful of others and their feelings and you want to talk with them about it, that can be perceived as a negative on them, even though I'm honoring your feelings and your thoughts, and I want to be respectful of them. And so I don't know what's happened in a society where showing emotions and all of that is deemed as negative. And I would actually argue the opposite.
Yes.
It takes incredible strength to communicate properly, show your emotions, express yourself, meditate, all of the things within Il Il Shin. So I feel like Il Il Shin, you go through and you explain it, it then like opens up this like dam of permission.
Wow.
Of these things that we all instinctually have within us, but don't express. So like the reason why I thought of it is I went to see Beauty and the Beast on stage. I took my daughter, she's 7. And at the end, we both got choked up. And she was literally like wiping tears away from her eyes, like when they all became human again and Chip got reunited with the mom. It was like, even though you know what's going to happen, it's still just so magical and special. And she turned to me and she was like, "Oh, sorry, Mom." Or no, she didn't say sorry, Mom. She was like, "The light was bright in my eye." And I was like, "No, honey, I'm crying too." I was like, "This is amazing." And so that really struck me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I don't want her to be afraid
To show
to show her emotions." And so that was what led me to, I was like, this is going to be my final shift today, because, you know, as a society, like she should feel comfortable to sit there and cry in the theater at a beautiful moment at a show and not feel bad or guilty in any way, you know? And I feel like Il Il Shin gives permission, you know, I don't know if that makes sense. Am I making sense?
No, 100% sense. Like, and you bring up a really powerful point. So my wife is going through some medical challenges, and she's Wonder Woman. Like she's an Iron Man. She's done things that I always say to anybody I talk about. I says, if you ever hear Bette Midler's song "Wind Beneath My Wings," I always say, yeah, it's very cold in her shadow, because she's bright, so light. So no sunlight on my face. I know the words, but she's going through a rough time right now, and she's been getting emotional, and she's apologizing yesterday even to the doctor. "I'm usually not like this. I'm much tougher. I'm much stronger than this." And guess what I said? You got to be like Elsa and just let it go. Right? Yeah. Right? It's okay. It
takes more strength
to do that. And I actually said to her, she was saying, this morning, I was driving her to another doctor. I said, I'm just going to keep doing better every day. I said, "Kathy, that's Il Il Shin. I'm just going to get a little bit healthier every day. I'm going to get a little bit stronger every day. That's Il Il Shin."
Yeah.
That's all we need. And it probably went in one ear and out the other because it's me saying it. But maybe Angela, Keith, you say it to her, she goes, "Oh, I got it." She listens, she knows. But that societal perspective of like, I can't get emotional, I can't cry because it's not going to make me tough or strong. But I agree. And
it's not her hearing it from you, it's your action. That's what we always think. If we change somebody else, everything will be fine. But your personal action is seen at a deeper level. The other thing I'd like to add to that is before we went live, you and I were talking, 20, 30 years ago would be, how many people did you sign up?
Yeah.
How high is your kick? And that's one of my favorite. I never memorize the numbers, but have a training partner.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite rules of Il Il Shin is have a training partner. And you and I, the last 3 months, have probably talked more than we have the last 30 years.
Literally. And I'm so happy too.
But it's how are you doing with this? And how are you doing with this? Nothing to do with the programs we're developing or this, but how are you doing personally?
Yeah.
And how are you doing with your training? And then by being closer and more associated with you, my morning training is more consistent. So to me, that is one of my favorite parts, is like-minded. Coming on a podcast and we immediately connect because we're all like-minded.
Yeah.
And we understand each other. And so another thing that, when I talk to my son, he's 23, it's just a weird world for them now. And,
Yeah.
they're scared to date. It's just a very weird thing. So again, need it, that connection and that, holding each other accountable and pushing each other and caring about each other is one of my favorite parts. Grandmaster Kim said the other day, I'm so glad you're coming here on Thursdays because we get to grow together. He's not putting himself like where we know he is.
Yeah.
And he just so humble and it's created such a much better relationship with my own team at the studios and my own family, because I'm trying to emulate what he does and be more humble. And it just slowly works day by day, renew.
In the martial arts industry, Angela, this is not your world, but you're in an industry where there's some egos too. So I don't know which industry has bigger egos. But the martial arts world, it's like ego center. Like it's and I know also being in the business, right, and knowing people like the ego heads get very big in that industry as well. And that's one of the things that I do respect so much about Grandmaster Kim is that he is like further than we could even possibly imagine along in his training and advancement. But he is so unbelievably humble. We go see him in his home in California, and you witnessed it. You witnessed it. The first thing he does, what can I do for you? It was like, let me hear this. And he would take the tea that he had for himself and give it to Angela. I don't know if that actually happened, but that's what he would. He would do. We come in there, there's like this beautiful fruit platter, like all prepped, that he's created, and he'll come up to, he waits for me outside when I'm coming to his house just to know that I'm here for, like, it's that kind of humility. And I think, I was teaching higher level training. I'm training some high level black belts, and I'm talking to them about, Il Il Shin principles, but I'm just sharing to them, like, look, you don't understand. Like, the higher we go in rank and in life, the more humble we have to be. The more we have to serve, the more influence we have. We have more impact than we have to serve more because we have more influence. And if we go up and we set the wrong message that everybody look at me, look at me, look at me, now that's the next generation. But when I think the most powerful leadership, I always say empathy and service, right? An empathetic leader, service leadership, that I think is so meaningful and important. And I know you both embrace that.
And I would add to that something that he always does is you can't just keep living on the touchdown you made in high school.
Yeah.
And I had my 7 studios and I did this and I did that. That was yesterday. It's not today. And everything that he teaches us, he demonstrates for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he does these physical things that I can't do. And so it makes me feel like, okay, I'm 62 years old. He's 77. If I need to do what he's doing now so I can be like that then. Yeah. He's not just telling us what to do. He's demonstrating.
And the amazing thing about that is that he'll say, you know why I'm better at this? Because I'm older and I've had more time to practice.
Yes.
It's not
more
like
training.
More training.
Yes.
More training. And then again, we'll start to bring things full circle. But the idea of shifting a little bit better every single day, but consistency. He'll say persistence in the diligence for consistent, something like he said something like that. But the consistent, and then a little bit more this, a little bit more that, a little bit. And it obviously the Slight Shift show, the whole concept of this podcast is based on Il Il Shin. And we were going to maybe call it the Il Il Shin show but Angela loved the Slight Shift show.
No, the shift show got me. I was like, I actually saw a sign in a store, and it said, "Welcome to the shit show." And I was like, oh my God, I need to buy that. And then this like stick an F, in there. And I was just like, this is
in there.
I know. So Keith, I always have my final shift, which I gave, but I'm going to ask a final question because I know we need to wrap up on time. So I feel like the Il Il Shin requirements philosophy, I do feel that they're all actually intertwined. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily steps. It's not like, oh, do this, then do this, then they're all very much intertwined with each other. Yes. So if you were to pick one where you were, talk about making a shift, be better every day. If you were to pick one to say, just like mine would be good deeds. Do one more good deed today.
Yeah.
You're going to feel better. You'll probably be more energized to do exercise and have the ability to get less angry or to not get angry. Like they all kind of, so if there's one, we'll start with Keith, then we'll go to Chris. Like what would your one be for somebody to focus on?
That's a great question. And I would say the one that I'm working on most is don't be emotional. Don't have anger. But I think number one is number one for a reason. And to keep the rule even when there's no rule. Because people talk big, but the people that are successful have the habits when nobody's looking. And probably my training partner, Grandmaster Burlow, that's the last 3 months, one of the biggest things that I've got from him is that strong habit. And my good friend, Grandmaster Cherfella, same thing, very strong habits. But I don't like the all or nothing attitude. I like the growth. And so I love how Il Il Shin just allows me to grow as an individual, but that when nobody's looking, what you're doing is ultimately where you're going to end up. So I really feel like foundationally, number one is number one for a reason.
Wow. Very good.
So next time you want to tell yourself no, remember that.
Yes. Yeah. Wow, that was good. All right, my turn. Oh, geez. That's like such a hard, because it really depends on the application, right? True. They're so embedded, like I mean, number 8 is number 8. Like we haven't even talked about number 8. We haven't even talked about
number 8. So many of our listeners are going to be like, what is this number 8?
Number 8, right? But we're going to keep that.
We should have popped up on the screen.
What's that?
We should have popped the
No, we're gonna get that's the carrot. We're dangling the carrot, the cliffhanger, Keith. Like they're gonna be like, what is this number 8?
Someday we'll share with you number 8, but I'm going to say number 2. Number 2, to avoid anger at all costs. Because when your blood boils, it just becomes so detrimental to your development internally and externally. And like you said, Angela, everything's intertwined. And you have to keep the rules, and we need to exercise, and we should practice and Tado. They are all so connected, but the idea of doing everything you can to not even control anger, just to avoid it. And that I think takes a lot of internal power, a lot of personal power to be able to divert it and to change it
Yeah.
at a moment's notice. Because if everybody practiced that one practice, we would have a more peaceful world.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to do all the other things when you're angry.
That's right. And again, the thing that was so profound, he said, if you train for 3 hours and one bout of anger discredits all that progress, I can't afford that time. I'm not going to waste my hours. And then just because somebody else got me upset, they're not worth it. So, but all right, we're going to wrap up. This was awesome. I think we need a part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 on this one. I am so grateful that you two got to meet. I hope that we have more conversation, dialogues, and I want to thank all the listeners and viewers who have tuned in to the Slight Shift Show. I am going to again declare I have 2 of my favorite people in the world in this virtual room. If anybody has any questions about this, please share this information. And I think one thing we can all agree that Il Shin is needed. And I will share this last thing. Every day I look at my cup, and we have Tado, we look at the cup and think about what our goal is. Every day I think of Il Shin becoming a household name. That people, not only the United States, but globally, are looking through with these values and perspectives and put on the Il Shin glasses. That's what we should get. Glasses that say Il Shin engraved in the top corner. But thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. And stay tuned for another great episode coming up next week. Have a great and wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye.